So welcome to our podcast. I'm Liz Johnson, and today I'm joined by Jennifer, Tanya, and Robert. And now let's talk textiles. Good morning, everybody. Welcome to Talking Textiles. I'm Liz Johnson, VP of Industrial Sales at Brookwood Companies, and we are members of the ATA. The goal of this podcast is to get to know the wide variety of positions and markets that make the advanced textiles world turn. We'll be talking to professionals in different roles throughout this series to help inspire the next generation of textile professionals and anyone interested in learning more about the other's journey in the world of textiles. ATA offers advanced textiles content throughout the year, including the upcoming Women in Textiles Summit 2025 taking place in March 30th, 2026 in Asheville, North Carolina, a beautiful place. The goal of the summit is to strengthen the advancement of textiles. Visit textiles.org/events to learn more. Today, we are live from the Advanced Textiles Expo, and we're talking about assessing and hiring talent for the skill-based workforce. Our featured guests are Jennifer Fennell of Polo Custom Products, who couldn't be with us today because of a flight mishap. I hope Jennifer took the 10% away from the rest of us that are hoping to get home quickly. Tanya Wade of Manufacturing Solutions Center at Catawba Valley Community College, and Robert Finnegan of Advanced Functional Fabrics of America. And in case I didn't say it, Jennifer's going to be joining us on Zoom so she can give us her valuable input. Our subject here today is assessing and hiring talent. This is a subject near and dear to a lot of our hearts since talent is hard to come by and hard to retain. So we'd like to talk about different things that we look at in employees to change our hiring practices, change how we retain employees. So the first question I'd like to have Jennifer take the lead on, and it's what trends have you seen in your best employees' backgrounds and experience prior to hiring?
Good morning, Liz. Thank you so much for queuing us up here. And again, I'd like to apologize for not being there in person. I hope that your audience is patient enough to wait for me to get through this, to get to the real live podcast recording for them. So talking about trends we've seen in our best employees' backgrounds and how does this change our hiring process? Polo Custom Products is an innovative and progressive and extremely collaborative organization. And knowing that is key for us to be able to, during recruiting and onboarding, understanding if a person is going to fit in well with our culture. Our culture is extremely important. Recently, we did some research into tenure at Polo Custom Products, and our average employee has been with Polo for 8+ years, greatly exceeding industry standard. And I think that says a lot, especially in a manufacturing setting where I know others are really challenged in that regard with turnover and talent retainment. So during onboarding, we do look for certain characteristics. We're looking for skill sets, of course, as well, that are going to complement and enhance our workforce. But we're looking for certain characteristics that, again, support they're going to click well with our culture. Going to an extreme, our CEO, Kent Lammers, who is extremely supportive of our culture and really embodies the culture of Polo Custom Products, intentionally meets with every single new hire through Zoom or Teams if necessary, if they're distant. But every single new hire from top to bottom has an opportunity to meet with our CEO on their very first day at Polo Custom Products. And I think that just speaks volumes to what our expectation is. My favorite characteristic that I like to poke into during interviews is a person curious. I'm looking for somebody who's a continuous learner, a team player. Are they going to come to Polo and not just bring their current skill set to us, but are they going to want to continue to move forward and learn and support our business as the landscape continuously evolves?
Well, it sounds like you guys have it figured out. That sounds amazing. And it sounds like it starts with leadership, which is awesome. So how, and anybody else chime in too, how would you suggest changing the hiring practice, hiring process, or how you interview people to better find out their background or their intrinsic qualities that you're looking for in a new hire?
I was going to say, I think that, again, this is Tanya Wade with Manufacturing Solutions Center. I think that it's really important to exactly what Jennifer was saying, someone who's curious, but also looking for those people that have that just natural drive, somebody that maybe is not just looking for a job and a paycheck, but somebody who is looking to serve a bigger purpose, somebody looking to learn themselves and advance. I find that those are the types of people that really make great employees, because regardless of what position they're in, they're always looking at ways that they can help improve your company. They're looking at ways that they can help improve the work area for others, like giving people voice, making sure that there's meetings and things are discussed. So I think the personality of who you hire is a big part of whether or not they're going to be successful at your company. It's kind of like your relationship at home. It has to be a fit to some extent, or it's not going to last.
Yeah. And I'll piggyback on a little bit of what I heard from both speakers. I'm Robert. I am the head of educational workforce development for the Advanced Functional Fabrics of America, or AFFOA. And we care a lot about our industry partners and the needs that they're raising up. And one of the things that we're hearing a lot is, related to this topic, is that we are looking for those motivated and really adaptable new employees. And what I found in relation to the process of hiring is connecting more of the pathways for those folks that even in very textiles rich regions like Rhode Island, like Fall River, Massachusetts, New York, like North Carolina, especially, many of the young people that are really excited to get into a job where they can really succeed don't necessarily have a connection into the industry partners and the industry that's right around. So working with, manufacturing solution centers, community colleges, and even career and technical high schools at that entry level, getting them exposed to and really excited about the different careers that they may not have known about. What I find is that many of them are really excited and really adaptable and ready to learn, and then being able to leverage that incredible talent that's already at the industry partner to make sure there are those learning and training and mentorship opportunities so that these newer employees can thrive and really adapt.
Absolutely. We do a ton of STEM tours. We've had over 15,000 students from 8th, 9th, 10th grade that have come through the Manufacturing Solutions Center. Like what Robert's saying, it's getting them in and letting them see the industry. For us, it's not just about educating the students about manufacturing, that it's not that low pay, dirty job that it used to be. It's also about educating the teachers, the principals, the parents, because those are also people that help drive the students in their career choices. So we want to make sure that those are the folks that also understand manufacturing is not the same as it was. And there's some really technical jobs out there that are high paying. Again, it's not that thing where in North Carolina, where I come from, a lot of the parents there tell their kids, go to college, don't go to a manufacturing facility. And that's great for a lot of students, but there's a lot of students out there that college isn't a fit. And there's tons of trade jobs now that we're starting to realize you don't have to go to college. You need to finish high school, but you don't have to go to college, but you have to start learning. You have to get your foot in the door. And that's where internships can sometimes be very beneficial as well.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. I think the college shift is definitely has been happening, and it's widely known that you don't have to go to college to earn a good living. And I think also the work-life balance is very important to the new generation, and it's not necessarily about earning the highest salary as it is finding something that you really love to do. So connecting those dots is really helpful for the work that you're doing with education, and obviously what you're doing at the college as well. So let's shift to how we cultivate and engage the most promising employees. And I think Jennifer mentioned culture. I think you may have mentioned culture as well, Tanya. So Robert, do you want to take the lead on that one? How we cultivate these employees? And you touched on it earlier.
Yeah, sure. You know, again, our role at AFFOA is to really try to build a bridge from education and industry. You know, where we can, our industry is asked to take on so much of the work, not only in creating the amazing products they create every day, but then training in-house, et cetera. So we try to cultivate as many training programs and support them that we can. But one of the things that I'm finding is that, you know, everyone, you know, within an industry partner, many of them are looking for those leadership opportunities, and they don't have to necessarily be upward and upward and upward, but, you know, how can you cultivate a culture that rewards, you know, some of your high performing employees with increased leadership, mentorship opportunities where they can provide mentorship. Many of them are very excited to step up. So cultures that celebrate leadership and accelerating pathways upward, I think really help. Another thing, and I think Tanya, you hit on it, you know, the sort of elephant in the room with many of the industry partners is that it is difficult to invest in the innovation needed sometimes to accelerate technology. And AFFOA, again, is really about helping to accelerate those technologies and the innovation on the factory floors. I think young people that see a pathway toward, you know, increased use of technology, AI, automation, and other kinds of innovations can really see a future to help grow not only their career, but potentially grow the innovations that are already happening at many of these organizations. So I think, you know, a combination of leadership opportunities, but also, you know, investing in innovations where you can, and even those that are not necessarily costly but can save time, and then leveraging some of those folks that are interested in helping the organizations grow in their innovative practices, I think has really helped.
Thank you. Go ahead.
I was going to say, I think what you were saying, Liz, as well, is that workforce, that work-life balance, not workforce, but work-life balance. We come from an industry that people years ago in the past, and all of our baby boomers, those guys, like I'd mentioned before, they live to work. Like that was their job. And when it comes to the younger generations now, they are working just to live. They're not as motivated by money. They want money, but they're not as motivated by money as they are the benefits like the vacation and the personal time, the flexible schedules. Those things mean more to them than just that monetary incentive. And I think that's where a lot of the industry has trouble, because they have this mixed workforce where they feel like, okay, we've got the older people, and these are the people that are like, just give me a raise and I'll get in here and work this set hours every day. And the younger people are like, I want to make a good living, but what's more important too is the time off with my family and friends. And I think that's where companies struggle to figure out how to reward both. So there's companies that I've worked with. One company is in the mountains in North Carolina. Most of their employees are hikers, backpackers, you know, mountain bike riders. So when they do good at the end of like once a month, a Friday, they'll take half a day off to get paid. The ones who don't want to go hiking or mountain biking go home and rest. And the other ones have that option to have that time off. So I think figuring out how to work with both types of people in your workforce is very important.
Absolutely. Those are really good points, Tanya. And for Brookwood, I think that is a challenge with the disparity of the workforce. You have a lot of knowledge in the older folks and how we transition that to the younger generation when there is such a disparity in motivation and how we work. So I think culture has to change in a way. And I think also the work from home desire of the younger group is something that has been challenging too, especially for positions that really require an on-site presence. So Jennifer, would you speak to a little bit about the how Polo cultivates and engages their newer employees?
Absolutely, Liz. I'm listening to you and Robert and Tanya and just feeling excitement around having this conversation because I remember coming into this industry 25 years ago, it wasn't very attractive to a lot of young people. And all of the comments that are being shared this morning tell me that is changing and it's just phenomenal. It's exciting to me. At Polo Custom Products, we face the same challenges you do at Brookwood, Liz. It is hard to blend those multi-generational expectations and needs and still support the business because manufacturing, you can't, we fabric or sew a product remotely. That's just not an option. You have to physically be there. So some of the creative ways Polo has tried to modify our systems to allow for what the younger generations are interested in is our manufacturing now. Our COO, Brian Weber, instituted this several years ago. We do a 4-10 work week. So our plants really are running wide open Monday through Thursday. And then they have a 3-day weekend. And that has been received so well. Our office folks have an opportunity to flex on Fridays. So if you hit your targets and objectives, you can be gone at noon on Friday with no hit to your PTO accrual. Remote opportunities. Again, if you're an office employee, you are allowed to flex and work from home a couple of days a week as you see fit. I have one employee who lives a little bit away from the office, and for her, that's a huge benefit because she's saving mileage on her car, the gas, the 1-hour commute each way, a couple of times a week. So options like that are out there. They can be a challenge to some of our older generation to accept that it's necessary. But we have seen as we've rolled these things out that they are received extremely well and very much support that multi-generational approach. The other thing I want to stress is, Tanya, you talked about this a minute ago. College just isn't for everybody. So one of the things Polo has launched is the Tears program, Learn to Earn with Tears. That's the saying, really. So our approach is to train, coach, and upskill our employees who are interested in that. Our plant manager in Iowa right now started out working on the floor, and she took every opportunity to grow, and we support that financially through time resources. If you are interested in growing and improving, we're here for that because we recognize the value of our employees and that loyalty is returned.
Wow, that's so interesting. Thank you for sharing that. I think we'll shift to the third question at this point. How does keeping up with innovative tools such as AI, which is changing by the minute, benefit the employees? Tanya, would you speak to that?
Yeah, so I think it's important that we realize we have all seen workforce training challenges coming for years, and we've been trying to figure out how to battle that, how to get our employees trained faster and more accurately. But I think one of the issues that we encounter a lot now is you have the people that come in, you spend 6 months, a year training them. And then at that time, you have spent all this time and money, invested that in them, and they realize this isn't a fit for them. Or you realize that it isn't a fit for them. And so at Manufacturing Solutions Center, we are a nonprofit. However, we have been very fortunate to be part of the Textile Engine, which is an organization that received a large grant from the National Science Foundation. There's a total of like 6 companies, organizations that involved. the Industrial Commons is the main organization, but what their focus is sustainability, workforce training, and those types of things. So at MSC, we were given the opportunity to work on workforce training. We took some of those funds, which we would have never otherwise been able to do, and we hired a team out of Asheville called Analog, and they have helped us create an AI cloud-based augmented reality training program. It's called ThreadX. ThreadX is where we have the virtual reality headset. It's called augmented reality because you can still see your surroundings. So a lot of people, when I put this headset on and I'm like, this is going to train your future employees, they automatically are like, oh, that makes me motion sick. The great thing about this is I get motion sick. It doesn't make you motion sick. So it works for so many people. What you can do with this headset, there's course content. At the end of the day, AI pulls information from everywhere. That means that if you're just relying on AI, you can get some false information. So with ThreadX, we took our Lenati trainer and we downloaded his brain for about 1.5 years. So exactly what you were saying, Liz, you have these mentors that have knowledge. When they're gone, that knowledge is gone. And so with ThreadX, we downloaded his brain basically, and we put it in content. This content then has relationship data that can connect to this headset and show these people on this equipment, like Lenati is where we started, how to fix machines, how to run machines. You can find out very quickly if somebody is mechanically adept to do that job. They can find out very quickly if they want to do that job. So like I said, in our own example, we had a young guy come in, we've spent 1 year training him and he realized it wasn't a fit. That's 1 year gone, and our mentor training him, that's 1 year gone for them. So ThreadX is phenomenal. We have just started the pilot. This is built on a platform that can be utilized with other equipment. So it's not just going to be knitting machines. It'll be able to be utilized for cutting machines, for sewing machines. We've just started the pilot. Our beta test, we took 2 receptionists who have no textile knowledge, and we put them through the content course first. And what normally would take 3 to 6 months to learn how to knit a sock, not program, but knit, the first lady did it in 20 hours. And when she gave feedback of information that she would need, the second lady that we put in after we updated did it in 9 hours. That's phenomenal. And again, this isn't programming. That's a whole nother beast. That's something we'll tackle later. But just to learn how to read a spec sheet, pull the correct yarn, creel a machine, run the machine, turn it on, and know all of that is amazing. And so I think what we've had to start doing is looking outside the box. ThreadX we've still got things we're working on, but at the end of the day, what are the other options that we have right now? The same old training.
That is so interesting. And for ThreadX, is that something that could apply to another company or business, or is that specifically for MSC?
No, MSC's mission is all about creating and retaining jobs in the US specifically. So we have some education classes. ThreadX was developed obviously to help with our training in some cases, but the predominant thing with ThreadX is to help manufacturers. That's what we are all about. We want to help manufacturers succeed and create jobs. So when ThreadX was originally designed, we chose Lenati because we were started as the Hosiery Technology Center. We have a lot of connections with hosiery mills, and that's currently where we're piloting.
Mm-hmm.
So we started with Lenati, but this is something that is for everybody. We've been speaking with different manufacturers of cutting machines, sewing machines. Like I said, our hope is that this is going to help every industry, not just textiles.
Not just sewing, but any,
Exactly.
you know, for us, it would be dyeing, finishing, printing. If we could cut down on the learning curve for the expertise it takes to run some of these jobs, like you said, it cut your knitting time down, learning curve from 3 to 6 months to 20 hours.
20 hours.
And to show them future and prospective employees what the job is all about before we all invest.
Absolutely.
They invest in the company and the company invests in them. So that's really phenomenal.
The other part of it is what you were saying about the mentors. So ThreadX is designed that you can go to a factory, and if you've got more than one shift and you're training new people, a lot of times it's different trainers and they don't train the same. You might have kind of a standard operating procedure on certain things, but if you've got a person, there's always room for human error, right? They may leave something out. And we've also realized that if somebody's not familiar with something and somebody is an expert, when they're training the person that's new, there's little things they don't think about to explain that they skip over and that other person needs to know. The fact that with ThreadX, the expert can go in and put in notes. So maybe the standard operating procedure to krill a machine is this way. However, you've had somebody working there for 40 years and they've got this other way that they do it because to them it's easier. You can have your standard operating procedures, but that expert can put in notes as well on this other way to do it. So when they retire, somebody still has that information. So I think it's standardizing, workforce training, helping to quickly realize whether an employee or a new hire is going to be a fit for that position, whether you decide or they decide. And the other piece is for mechanics. I know we've all had equipment break. And when you're waiting on that mechanic, especially Lonati is made in Italy, when you're waiting on mechanics to get here and you have to pay that, with ThreadX, workforce training is one, but mechanics is the other. So somebody in a completely different state or country can log into a computer and see through the headset what issues you're having and help people correct issues, fix machines, equipment, and so forth.
Wow, that's wonderful. So how can manufacturers find out more about ThreadX and if it could benefit them?
I
Yes.
agree, Liz. I'm sitting over here thinking, can I sign up for this now? Tanya, you've sold me. This is so cool.
Very cool.
It really is, and we're really excited about it. Like I said, we're doing our first pilot. There's some little issues, I'm sure, that we're gonna, like everything that we have to work out. The biggest thing to remember is, as I mentioned, AI pulls from information from everywhere. You want to make sure that you have an expert in whatever equipment, whatever position that you are going to use ThreadX, because you want their knowledge. That's what you want it to pull from. It's not going to be something that's super quick and simple. It's going to take time from each company to download that information. But again, once that information is in there, it's going to be a phenomenal hiring tool or a mechanical tool. So anybody that's interested, you can reach out to the Manufacturing Solutions Center. If you go to the contact page, my information's on there. We have a booth here. We are proud members of ATA, and we have a booth here at 2043. If you want to stop in, I have some brochures on ThreadX as well. But yeah, if you're not here or you hear this later, reach out to the Manufacturing Solutions Center. You'll find me, my director, Jeff, Tony, any of us can get you to the right person.
Yeah, that's really exciting because I think from a Brookwood standpoint, we've been using AI from a management and admin standpoint, but not from a manufacturing. So this is really exciting.
Well, and Robert, you mentioned earlier that the younger generation is really attracted to progressive and innovative companies. This, to me, if you're hiring somebody to work out on the floor or as a mechanic or something like that, and you bring them in and the training is through augmented reality, and you've got this awesome setup, that's pretty enticing, I would think.
Yeah, and just to pull on a couple of threads, it's impossible to talk about textiles without the textiles funds. But from Tanya and from Jen, I do think that the trick with innovation and the tools for the future are that many of the industry partners get excited about them, but many of them are difficult at this point to invest in. So it's sort of meeting where each industry partner is at the moment. And Jen, what I loved about some of the scenarios that you had played out is that there's a recognition that there is still a sort of generational divide around the kinds of work schedules, the kinds of tools, some of the generations are looking to have for an organization that also does need to be an efficient, productive manufacturing operation. how do you manage to do that with some simple tools and some simple ways that you can motivate? And what I love about Tanya and the example with ThreadX is I do think there's also some fear about the kinds of innovations that are out there, not only because they're costly. I mean, it's one thing to invest in a person over the course of a year and have that person decide, well, I'm not so sure, but investing in really complex sort of technologies to assist training can also be a big bet. So we love creating programs that are sort of national within regional hubs that are centralized around the kinds of supply chain activity within those regional hubs, and trying to connect more standard certificates and badges so that if I'm in Texas and I have, you know, a robust ecosystem around that, I have a couple of go-to community college partners and other programs, training centers that I can reliably go to and find some easy ways that they can help me leverage innovations and tools to get the right career pathways into the industry. So, you know, I love ThreadX. We've got a tremendous number of programs at AFFOA. Feel free to reach out, and just making sure that it's right-sized with the industry cluster you have in any particular region. And the more we see that standardized training, I think the more ease we're going to see folks finding their way into this career pathway.
Very good points. Thank you. Well, I think that wraps us up. Tanya, Jennifer, Robert, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank
Thank
you.
you for having us.
Thank you for joining us for this episode of ATA Talking Textiles. ATA is a non-for-profit association representing the international specialty fabrics marketplace. Learn more about the events, workshops, and webinars ATA hosts throughout the year at textiles.org/events.